reciting Basmalah all together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The next agenda is general lecture sessions with the topic Audit Quality in the World of Digital. This event will be guided by our moderator, Mr. Bahrul. He is an economic lecturer of Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. For Mr. Bahrul, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sister Widya Nurul, for your introduction from me. Okay, good morning, everyone. We can start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
So I'm very happy to hear because I can meet my lecturer here, Dr. Hafizah Zainab. Okay, Waalaikumsalam, Dr. Hafizah Zainab. So it's quite a long time ago I met to see you because when I came back to in Indonesia and never meet my lecturer.
We see online now, eh?
Yeah, online. Because I think I never have class with Dr. Hafizah during my PhD because my PhD and concern actually I'm concerned in accounting, but my topic area in my PhD is talking about Islamic accounting. So that's why my focus is not in audit. But I know that Hafizah Zainal actually. Okay, so I'm very happy to hear because I can meet my lecture before, and also that we will hear the information and the issue about audit itself. But before that, I would like to introduce Dr. Hafizah Zainal Abidin. So actually, Dr. Hafizah is lecturer in accounting department in Kuliah of Economic and Management Science, and she has a PhD already in University Science Malaysia, actually especially in auditing, and also she did the master in business administration in finance in University of Nottingham, and she got the Bachelor of Accounting in International from International Islamic Accounting, International Islamic University Malaysia. So if you look at from the CV, so Dr. Nur Hafizah Zainal has a lot publication and also had a lot of qualification as auditor, I think, because if you look up from here, research a lot of the research project, right, from the Zakat, Sharia Board, and also talking about the Malaysian audited firm, and also big data analytics. So I think really Dr. Hafizah Zainal Abidin has a lot of experience actually. So we are here, we want to know more deeply regarding about the auditing. But the topic is very interesting actually, because during COVID-19, that a lot of the company, they have to disclose the annual report, and also as auditor also have to face the issue that how to come up with the audit in the world digital. So that's why your topic is talking about how to design the audit work in the area of digitalization business environment. So this topic is very interesting. I think for the bachelor degree, I mean the students, I think we can learn a lot, especially for an audit. So I'm not really much to speak, so because we want to hear the Dr. Hafizah Zainal more discussion. I think more discussion, inshallah. Okay, so I think this is time for you, Dr. Hafizah. So you can share the topic and the issue, especially the how to design the audit work in the area of digitalization business environment. So time is yours, Dr. Hafizah Zainal.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, Dr. Bahrul Ilmi. Thank you also everyone for being here to listen to me. It's more of a sharing of information, okay, and also sharing some of my experience because now and then also I'm still involved in part of my administrative work involved in the auditing and also accounting work. So inshallah, I will try my best. I hope I can fulfill some of your expectation. Okay. But by the way, may I get to know about a little bit about my audience? I believe this is all accounting students, but and looking at the syllabus is all about auditing process and so on. So have they actually gone for practical training, meaning that work in the audit firm or placement now, or they have not yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
But but the subject is already, they have the
Yes,
subject
yes,
of the
yes. Just to get to know, because sometimes when when teach auditing, if they have gone for practical training, at least they have seen the practical, so they can imagine. But
so
if they have not, that means I have to tone down the the level of explanation so that they can
I
actually
see.
appreciate.
I see.
That's the most important thing lah when teaching audit.
Okay, that's all.
Okay. All right, I've done my sharing. I hope all can see the slides. Okay. So practically what I'm trying to deliver today is more on the auditing. What are the changes that actually happen to the auditing process, particularly when the business has been digitalized. In fact, the audit also has been digitalized. Okay. And how and what are actually the issues that we as an auditor need to address practically. Okay, so first of all, to start with, I would like to bring to the why audit is actually important. Okay, because we, I'm sure, even in Indonesia, even in Malaysia also, we are facing so much of accounting standard, and I'm sure you all know about 1MDB. And recently, we have in Malaysia the case of server dynamic, which is still being highlighted and so on. But I would like to bring one more case, but this one is actually from UK, but it is relevant to the context of especially for junior auditors. Okay, because why as being a junior auditor, you need to know what are actually important when you perform your audit work and so on. All right. This case is actually taken from UK. It is about Patisserie Valerie. It is a chain of cafe that actually sell restaurants, food, and so on. Okay, so the company have a accounting scandal, which caused at the end of the day, auditors are being fined about 2.3 million pounds. Okay, so it's quite significant. And the basis that they're being fined is because of serious lack of competence. So what ring the bell, okay, as an auditor, it says that here auditors actually fail to deliver their duty of care. Okay, that means perhaps there are some negligence part has been happening in when they are doing their work. So it should ring the bell to the as an auditor, what is actually your core auditor's responsibility when you are doing the audit on the financial statement? Okay, because we know part of the ethics law is that we are actually required to be competent and to perform our duty of care. Okay, so this company is actually being audited by Grant Thornton. Okay, so I would say everyone knows this audit firm. Okay, it's quite well-known audit firm. So by right, this thing shouldn't happen, okay, in the big audit firm. And then this auditor has been auditing the client since 2007 until 2019. So here also ring another bell is that the relationship between the auditor and the client, it has been quite some time, okay, more than 10 years already. So it does ring the threats of independence as well. Okay, what I want to bring to the attention is that the failure of the audit work is found in the area of revenue. Okay, which is most of us know, revenue is always one of the major area that exposed to a very high risk of manipulation of financial statement. Okay, because in general, company would like to post a very good revenue or mean to show that they are performing better year-to-year basis. Okay, and the other sections that also found the issues is that in the audit work is cash and fixed asset. Okay, so here these two I would like to bring to attention is that being a junior auditor, because the moment you grad, all right, and then you, let's say you work as an auditor, these are the two common sections that have been done by the junior. Okay, so when you are doing, because the perception is that these two areas are very easy to audit. Okay, very easy to audit, but yet these are the where the failure of the audit work happen. So how we as an future auditors, okay, you're going to work in the, let's say to work later on, okay, what are the things that we need to look at, okay, when we audit a simple area to be audited, but yet they could actually lead to a very serious issues. Okay, so causes of the accounting scandal is that, okay, the causes of the why auditors are being fined, it says that the auditors miss the red flags. Okay, they miss the red flag, meaning that they fail to detect the material misstatement and they have not actually accumulate adequate audit evidence, okay, and they fail to exercise a good questioning skill. Okay, so these are the three things that being highlighted. And on top of that, all right, what are the core issues actually being highlighted from the case is auditor failed to question one payment received from one third-party company for a large sales voucher 3 days before year end. Okay, here I would like to bring to your attention, when we audit, okay, you have learned in the auditing subject, you learn about materiality. Okay, so normally being auditor, what you focus more is, are you focused on the small balances? No, we focus more on the big amount. All right, so by right, as an auditor, the moment you see the big amount that occurred, especially close to year end or even close to after year end, that should be the trigger point where why such amount happened. Okay, why such amount happened. So you should have your skepticism applied. Okay, you should have questioned yourself. Okay, is this the right amount to happen, to occur during the financial year end or what? So you need to ask the client. Okay, so questioning skill is actually very important for an auditor to exercise. That's one. Secondly, auditor's failure to investigate reactivation of a dormant account and overdraft facility for a 4 million overdraft. Again, large amount. Okay, and again, what is actually the trigger point here as an auditor? When we audit a client, right, if there is any change or if there is any new things happen in that year, that is actually the trigger point. Okay, that means last time used to be dormant, now suddenly active. Why? Okay, so being skeptical, you have to ask the why. Okay, the why question is actually very crucial, right? So you don't just accept, okay, client explain this, okay, you just accept. No, you have to question yourself. Okay, is that right? Okay, for you to activate, why can't you use the existing account? Okay, since you already have overdraft facility in the existing account, why you still need to activate the dormant account, etc., etc. So again, you need to question yourself, and is the actions taken by the management is actually the right action? Okay, so your questioning, okay, is very important. And then here is where you fail to detect the red flag. Okay, so as an auditor, the word new and the word change is what attract attention of the auditor. Okay, third one, motor vehicle, fixed asset. Okay, fixed asset here, this is cafe, restaurant. All right, so practically more or less, if you have many branches, because they have like 200 plus cafe change. So generally, you have to apply your logic. Okay, you have to apply logic. If these are the kind of business, shouldn't they have this kind of assets? Okay, and why motor vehicles need to be recognized as a plant when they are just a cafe chain instead of a business that provide like a port. Okay, if port, maybe vehicles can be recognized as a plant. So you have to apply logic to the nature of the business and the way of how you record things in the financial statement. Okay, so that's why here categorization errors were not challenged by the auditor. So perhaps this is lack of applying common sense, okay, applying logical thinking, and then fail to question how come when the motor vehicles are new, it is not being questioned. And you know that it is being categorized in a different account. Okay, so here what I'm trying to highlight is that it's actually raised the common issue that actually occurring in many of the accounting scandal. Okay, failure of the auditor to apply skepticism, failure in performing the right audit procedure, failure in gathering proper or adequate audit evidence. Okay, so now move on to the current situation. What is happening now? Okay, we know that a lot of business are adopting technology. Okay, here is the photo of kedai mamak here in Malaysia. All right. So if you, I always ask my students, okay, you go to kedai mamak, you drink coffee, you drink teh tarik, do you realize they use technology or not? Okay. So I'm not sure in Indonesia. I'm sure Indonesia don't have kedai mamak so much, right? But here, so I always ask them, okay, do you realize that? Do they actually apply technology? Okay. So if you've been here, right, normally after you order, they will fill up the order in their system using their handphone, and they will give you a card. Okay, they will give you a card, and when you want to make a payment, the card will be given to the cashier. Cashier will scan, and they will know what you eat, and you will pay for what you eat and you drink. So meaning that they will be not missing off revenue, because sometimes when we did not use that system, what happened? Oh, I drink this, eat that. Sometimes you forgot another something that you already eaten, or you purposely whatever, isn't it? So there is a tendency for the business to lose their revenue. Okay, so as simple as that system is also being used by the restaurant, okay, by the mama store. So don't talk about the big company like Grab, like Facebook, okay, like Alibaba. Okay, so when we go and audit, we need to understand the nature of the business and how technology is actually being used in the company. Okay, because for me, technology is just enabler. Okay, it's just an enabler that actually to facilitate the business process. Like just now, okay, when they use the card, it's actually just to make sure that whatever you order is being billed and is being paid. That is actually to capture, to ensure the risk of losing your revenue. Okay, but if you look at the Grab, in Indonesia, you use Gojek, right? Okay, so they are many, actually they replace, kind of like replacing taxi, isn't it? Taxi, but are those vehicles belong to the Gojek, is owned by the company, or is it owned by the Gojek itself? Okay, all right. So if it is actually practically, right, talking about Grab in Malaysia, whatever the cars that are used for the Grab purpose is actually not owned by the company. It is actually owned by the Grab owner, the person itself, because you can choose to work as when you want to work, and you can choose not to work. Okay, so practically when you audit this kind of company, you know that by right, they shouldn't have so much of vehicles inside their financial statement. So when you go and audit, you notice that, how come there are so many vehicles recognized? So that is where the trigger point for you to further investigate during the audit. Okay, like Alibaba, okay, retailer, like Facebook, you provide content, but actually the content come from not from the company itself, but come from the user. Okay, like Alibaba, you have your platform for retailers, but the inventories is actually owned by the sellers, not owned by the company. Okay, Airbnb, okay, they provide services for you to rent the hotel, to book the accommodation, home, etc., etc. But is all the assets actually belong to the company? No. So the business operandi, or the model of the business operation, has changed. And for that reason, okay, what actually the main source of the revenue come from? Okay, and what should the item be inside the financial statement? So we have to understand the nature of the business in the current situation, right? So it's not only talking about, so the technology is not only talking about how the documentation is being changed into digital format, how the technology facilitate the business operation where certain operations are being automated, but also the way of how you're generating revenue, okay, how you generating your purchases, everything is also need to be understand carefully. Okay, because when you learn audit, you learn about revenue cycle, you learn about purchase cycle. All right, so it's very important to understand how the revenue is being generated, how the purchase actually being exercised or practiced in that particular company. Okay, so the first part is that understanding of the digital, how digital transformation is actually happening in the business. Okay, now still talking about the business side. Here is how the digital transformation actually happened in one of the audit firm. Okay, KHR is actually a small medium. I would say a medium, but slightly skewed to the big size of the medium audit firm. So what have happened is that the company has actually adopted or going through digital transformation in their audit activities. So I already shared the link. You might want to see that because it takes about 10 minutes. Okay, so you can look after this, how it's actually transformed. Okay, so but general ideas, what I would like to share with you in terms of in Malaysia, almost all Big Four already, I would say, very much using the transform into digital audit approach and so on. But for the medium size, few, Okay, but of course for the small, only selected. Okay, so it's actually for the small medium audit firm, very much depending on who are the partners. If the partners keen to adopt digital transformation, then they will be aggressively go for that. Okay, because it also have an implication on the financial resources. Okay, because they need to embark on the installation of the system, of the software, and then ensure that the staff all equipped, etc. and so on. Okay, so you can watch that. Okay, so with the changes in the business, okay, just now, as I mentioned just now, okay, how does that have impact on the audit process? How would that have an impact on the auditor system? Do you think as an auditor, you need totally new competence level or new skills? Or you can actually enhance your existing skills and you can do your audit in the era of digital. What about the audit method? Okay, what about the audit technology, methodology, audit approach? Are you still do you still can use a risk-based audit, or you need to totally revamp the whole audit approach and use totally a new audit method? Okay, so these are the things that I will share. Okay, relate back just now to the audit quality. Why I focus on audit process? Why I focus on auditors per se? Because at the end of the day, the quality of the audit is very much depending on how you do your work and who is actually doing the audit. Okay, so that's why I'm focusing on the audit process and auditors. Okay, talking about the process, I would actually look from a holistic view. Okay, it's more like to help you to recap the whole understanding what you have learned throughout the semester, okay, in one sitting, and try to link from the beginning to the ending point, how it is actually integrated, okay, because sometimes when you learn in class, you learn topic by topic, okay, and then you actually read standalone, okay, this is about this is about that, this is about this, but you can't see the integration, how it is interconnected actually, okay, all right. So talking about the process in general, you know that you have audit planning, okay, you have audit procedures, and then you have audit opinion, reporting, and also communication. So the three different stages, right? So what I'm trying to link here is that first thing, in the audit planning, you prepare engagement letter, isn't it? Okay, all right, you prepare engagement letter. So normally it's a template, So when template, normally you don't read. Okay, you just, okay, prepare the template, pass to the client, sign, and then you one sign both party, put it in the file. No one even actually read what is actually the element inside the engagement letter. Okay, that's also happened to me last time. Okay, so the current practice is that every year, okay, when you start the audit, you must have engagement letter. It's different from my time. And during my time, engagement letter only issued once you being appointed years back. Okay, after that, we never issue engagement letter. But now, because of the improvement in the auditing profession, engagement letter must be issued on yearly basis. Okay, just to ensure that there is a contract between you, to ensure the liability is actually being managed properly. Okay, you see, I'm linking engagement letter and auditor's opinion. Okay, auditor's opinion, you must know that that is actually your final output, final product, because as an auditor, you provide services. Okay, you provide services. So like your final product is what? It's actually your audit opinion. Okay, it's not tangible where you can see, okay, bottle of water, you can see the bottle, right? But here, that is actually your final product. Okay, of course, your final product must have certain quality. Okay, so whatever that you claim, all right, in the engagement letter must be linked to your final product, which is your auditor's opinion. What is actually that you claim in the engagement letter? Okay, so in engagement letter, first thing is that you said, okay, the objective of the engagement, this is financial statement audit, right? So is to ensure that financial statement is true and fair view. Okay, financial statement is true and fair view. By saying that, meaning when you do your audit, you actually checking the preparation of the financial statement prepared by the management are in line, okay, or in accordance to the applicable financial reporting standard, okay, the local context. All right, so the preparation is the responsibility of the management, okay, and internal control within the financial reporting process also responsibility of the management. Okay, therefore, Management should allow auditor to assess anything. Okay, meaning auditor can access information, auditor can access records, auditor can access ledgers, whatever, etc. System or even verbal representation. Auditors are allowed to access to that. So management must know these are their responsibility. Okay, they cannot say no, because if they say no, it will change your audit opinion from unqualified to other type of audit opinion. Okay, all right. So when you make it clear to the management, these are your responsibility. So as an auditor, you also must know what are your responsibility. Okay, so as an auditor, your responsibility is to perform the audit. According to the ethics requirement, you must be competent, you must have your integrity, okay, you must have your independence, meaning that your mindset must be objective when you make your decision. Okay, and when you perform your procedures, it must be in accordance to the international standards of auditing. Okay, international standards of auditing. So you have another standards, okay, to go through, standards of auditing. All right, okay. So here, when you prepare your audit opinion, when you communicate the results to the client, all right, what do you say? You put it back, all that whatever that you say in the engagement letter is all appear back in your auditor's opinion, isn't it? Okay, you are saying that, okay, we have audited this etc. financial statement component, which is financial position, SOCI, okay, cash flow, etc. are prepared in accordance to the applicable financial reporting framework, and you provide your opinion saying that it is true and fair. Based on what? Based on the work that we have done, which is in accordance to the auditing standards. Okay, so whatever that you claim in the engagement letter is actually appear back in your auditor's opinion. Okay, so it is actually interlinked between engagement letter and auditor's opinion. Okay. Okay, the next one. What are the second part that also very important is audit planning. Okay, audit planning also very important because for me, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Okay, so meaning that when you plan for your audit, you really have to plan properly. Okay, here is where the main issue. Okay, when you do the planning, okay, now in the digital era, okay, how do you do the plan? First thing, you must understand the business operandi. Okay, what is the business model? All right, and the most important thing is that you must know to what extent technology is being adopted in the business. If you're talking about purchase cycle, you're talking about revenue cycle, is it just system in the purchase cycle or is it just system in the revenue cycle? Because sometimes maybe your revenue cycle is all interlinked with the third party, your customer and so on. But maybe purchases are still manual. Or maybe your purchases are also integrated. You link to the supplier and so on. Okay, so you need to understand the complexity of the business structure. Okay, the complexity of the business structure, because what are the risks associated to that? Okay, and here also I would like to link between the importance of audit planning to audit opinion. Okay, because whatever that we do in audit planning is actually some of part of that would actually appear, okay, to support your report in your audit opinion, which is specifically key audit matters. Okay, let's look at the audit planning. What do you do? First thing, you understand the business. Okay, when you understand the business, you identify the inherent risks. Okay, when you identify the inherent risks, from the nature of the business, what are the risks? Okay, so let's say, for instance, the company is actually integrating technology in their revenue system. Okay, what are the risks associated to that? Okay, maybe there is no proper security wall, okay, firewall attached to the system, so that they always have a hacking from the customer into your system, thereby destroy the information whatsoever. So you need to identify, due to the nature of the system, okay, the failure of the security wall and so on, these are the risks. Okay, so meaning that you identify as a key risk area, the revenue inside the financial statement might be understated or overstated. There are the risks of material misstatement. Okay, so how you address that in the audit procedure? Okay, how do you address that in audit procedure? Later on, when you do your field work, how would you do it? Okay, so during the planning, you should have think about that already. Okay, why? Because to bring back to the audit opinion, just to share with you, this is an extract from the key audit matters. Okay, in the auditor's opinion, you can see here is that, okay, whereby you can see the title here is actually A is impairment of non-financial asset, meaning that during the planning, they already identify these are the issues that to be focused during the audit. And the response here, if you see that, our audit procedures include, meaning you have to spell out what are the audit procedures that you are going to do during your fieldwork. Okay, so meaning that during your planning, you should have think thoroughly what are the risk area and what are the procedures that need to be done. Okay, so it's not only one risk area, isn't it? Most of the time, in general, key audit matters in context of Malaysia, it range from 3 to 5. Okay, so why is that important for you to really think carefully? Because remember, if there is anything accounting scandal happen, the first thing that will be see is how do you do your work? Have you identified that area as a key risk area when you do your audit? Okay, let's say just now in the case of Matters 3, cash and fixed asset never appear in your key audit matters. But that's where the audit failure come in. Okay, so meaning that that's why they question, have you done your work properly? Are you competent to do your work? Okay, so that is where it goes back to the root cause of your audit procedure and your competency, which is your audit process and the auditors itself. Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. So here, this is what as an auditor normally being done by the senior in charge. Okay. But still, after 1 year experience, normally junior can also do the audit planning. Okay. Another thing that I would like to highlight. Okay. In the digital era, what happened is that, okay, in old days, we don't have to do this because we don't rely so much on the documents that produced by the system, because everything is being printed out. Okay, because last time you are still looking at traditional document, manual records, and so on. Okay, but nowadays during the digital era, and in fact during the pandemic, okay, because you can't go to the client cannot come to you. So what happened is that you have to rely on the system, all right, of the client, and you are actually extracting information from the client, and you use to analyze that, and you see the documents all from the given by the system in the digital format. Okay, so being skepticism, is that reliable? Is that adequate? Is that sufficient? Okay, can it be trusted? Okay, sometimes being auditor, you always like, can trust or not? Can trust or not? Okay, you always have that kind of mindset. All right, but of course, at the same time, we also have to be husnuzon juga kan, okay, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, it's not all whatever given by the client is all wrong, okay? All right, so this actually the dilemma between that, okay? You still have to play your professional skepticism, but then whatever given by the client, is it can be trusted? You have that kind of question, okay? So in order to enhance, okay, the reliability, okay, the level of trust, right? So based on, this is what I gather from one of my research, okay, we did interview actually the Big Four, because we found that, okay, the Big Four is the one that very much enhanced, okay, advanced in terms of utilizing the digital in the form of their audit approach, okay. So of course there are variants between one firm to another firm, but this is where I pick up from, we believe, the good practice, okay, I would say, not to say totally new audit approach, but how they revamp their audit approach in order to cater the new environment of the digital business. Okay, so what happened is that they know that during the fieldwork, they are going to rely on the financial information or maybe non-financial information or whatever from the system of the client. Okay, so what they will do is that they will set up one team, okay, one team. So in this one team, they would actually comprise of IT auditors. Okay, they will actually comprise of IT auditors, and of course, together with the team, they have also financial auditors, because IT auditors normally not coming from accounting background. Okay, IT auditors mostly coming from IT background, because you are checking the system. Okay, you need to know the technical part about within the system. All right, how the design, how the structure, how the setting, etc., etc. So normally it comes from IT background. Okay, that's why they need at least a rep from financial, because you are checking on behalf of the impact of the system to the financial statement, financial reporting process. Okay, so when they go in, what they do is that they assess the reliability of the system. Okay, how the IT governance, okay, how is actually the system work, okay? And in fact, within the system, you have the accounting process, right? And for every accounting process, you have automated control, okay? Let's say, for instance, when you want to purchase, someone approved, right? So purchasing executive prepare the form, fill out the document or whatsoever online, and normally once they click, then the purchase manager would have to approve it inside the system. Okay, so of course, sometimes you have limit, isn't it? You set the limit, okay, for purchasing below 20,000 can be approved by the purchase executive, and then whatever purchase above 20,000 need to be approved by the purchasing manager. So these are what the IT auditor will go in and verify. Is it actually the automated control system, the setting of the 20,000 just now, is actually working or not? Is it working effectively? Is it working as what it's supposed to be? Of course, it's not only that control, because in accounting process, you have many level of control in different activities. So this is what they are doing. Okay, why we are doing this? Because we know if the control, automated control, because we learn about application control, okay, within the system are working, then we know whatever documents or reports produced by that system is actually reliable. Okay, whatever information produced by that system is actually reliable. Okay, because at the end of the day, when we audit what? We audit financial information. To order to verify the financial information, you cite the documents. And nowadays, the documents are in digital. Okay, all right. Let's say you ask one client, okay, I want to see this invoice. I want to see this invoice, the list of 10 invoices. Client said what? Okay, I give you this computer, I give you access, you key in the number. Okay, and then what happened? You key in the invoice number, all appear on the screen. Any number you key in, sure appear on the screen. So you as an auditor, you'll be, okay, if any number you key in, all appear on the screen, so is that transaction really occurred? How do you sure? Because last time, when it is manual, when you see an invoice, normally attached together with the supporting documents, isn't it? Then automatically you can actually verify, okay, this invoice actually happened because there is delivery, there is order, there is proper approval, etc., etc., etc. You can check simultaneously when you see the manual document. But now, when you see inside the system, how you verify? Okay, how you verify that all that actually happened, and it is actually not a bogus transaction. Okay, because the most important thing when talking about revenue or any transaction, is it actual transaction or is it bogus transaction? That is what the auditor need to verify. Okay, so that's one part, meaning that the system itself, is it working or not? Okay, the other side is database. Okay, I'm sure you learn about accounting information system. Okay, so practically nowadays, most of the company are using integrated accounting system, meaning that module for HR, module for production, module for inventory, marketing, etc., etc., all integrated. Okay, so practically every module they have database. Okay, they have database. So every database, as an auditor nowadays, using analytics, you can actually get the whole database and analyze. Last time we used sampling. Okay, but now we are using population. Okay, so when we are using the database, as an auditor, we need to know how does database work. Okay, because at the end of the day, when we do analysis, we want to link one database to another database. Let's say we audit payroll. Okay, we audit payroll, we actually checking personnel has been terminated or personnel has resigned. Okay, is the salary for him still being paid or not? Okay, is the salary for him still being paid or not? So the list of the personnel that need to be paid is in the payroll, finance. And then the personnel that inside the one that being terminated, whatever, the record will be updated inside the HR department. Okay, are these two modules integrated? By right, okay, by right, logically, when you update your record database here, it should be updated here. Meaning, if you are being terminated already or resigned already, no payment should be paid. Does it happen? Okay, so as an auditor, that one can be simply done through analytics. Okay, you can just run the analysis, but again, you have to know how to link those two databases. Okay, so we as a auditor, of course, now as a student, we have to learn how does database system work, unsilo, and how to integrate. Okay, because when we extract data, we might extract from one database, another database, but then how you want to link the data between 2 or 3 different databases. That's other knowledge that also crucial nowadays. Okay, being an auditor. Okay, so that's what happened in planning. So another thing is that this team also, what they will do, they will check compatibility of the database because every client using different accounting system. Okay, maybe big company, MNC, they use SAP. But then if you go to another company, local, maybe they're not using SAP, they use a local version. And local version also, you have A, B, C, D, and so on, isn't it? And you are using your software. Okay, so the most important thing is that you want to check compatibility. Okay, because when you use their database, okay, you need to download the whole database into your software. Okay, is that compatible with your software? Okay, so most common, every accounting system will be able to produce report of database in the form of Excel or CSV. Okay, Excel or CSV. So what does it tell you now? You must be expert in Excel. Okay, you cannot run from Excel, right? You have to know how to convert whatever database into Excel format because Excel format can work with any, most of the software can work with Excel. Okay, so we need to know about that. Okay, we need to learn about Excel. Okay, so those are the things that normally we consider during audit planning. Okay, so practically when this particular team has done their checking on the reliability and compatibility of the IT system, then you move on to your audit procedure, which is your fieldwork. Okay. Another thing that I also would like to highlight, sorry, during the inherent risk just now, auditors also commonly use analytics already, all right, analytics already for the purpose to detect risk area. Okay, I will bring that into the audit procedures. So, among the audit procedures that use analytics, okay, among audit procedures that use analytics are, number 1 is risk assessment. Okay, risk assessment. All right, in the risk assessment, what happened is that you learn statistic, right? Okay, you learn statistic. Are you familiar with this? The bell curve? No, not so bad lah, my curve. Okay, do you learn about the bell curve? All right, so practically as a statistician, you interested the one in the bell curve or outside the bell curve? You are interested in the one in the bell curve, right? Okay, so as an auditor, you are interested outside the bell curve. Okay, why? Because you are interested with the one. Why outside the bell curve? Because these are the outliers. Okay, these are the normal transaction, but how can you have these outliers transaction? How can you have all these irregularities? Okay, all right. So that's why in the risk assessment, all right, in order to set your maturity level, etc., and so on, analytics are already being used extensively in those companies that already transform their audit approach in the digital. Okay, in the analytics. right? So practically, knowledge of statistics cannot be put aside. You have to bring in during the audit. Okay, all right. And then, of course, by using the analytics in the normal audit procedure during the fieldwork, okay, this one is also common, whereby most of the time we study the trends, we study the patterns. Again, we are looking for the one that anomalies. Okay, we are looking at the irregularities, we are looking at the outliers. Okay, because these are the one that trigger for red flags. Okay, all right. So in terms of the audit procedures, all right, there are many software that available nowadays. Okay, it's just that you as a future auditor, if you can grasp one or two skill on certain audit software, that will be good enough. Okay, because the moment you know how to because practically to use the software is actually easier, but to think of what to analyze, okay, to think of what to analyze and to think of what are the risks or issues that you try to find out, or findings that you're looking for, exceptions you're looking for, is the one that actually very critical. Okay, because this is where require your skill as an auditor to be able to think, if you're looking at this database, what are the possible issues? If I'm looking at this database or this item that you want to audit, what are the possible issues that you can actually extract from that database? That is where the problem that actually happened in reality, because if you get the wrong data, you analyze wrongly, you get wrong information. Okay, so garbage in, garbage out. All right, so that's why you must know what you want to analyze. Okay, and the story that comes from the findings, what you want to tell, okay, to your client, to your boss, etc. Okay, so that's in terms of the audit procedure. So practically, with the presence of the digital, everything has been automated within the company. Okay, database are available. Hence, the big data come into picture. Okay, come into picture. All right. And then talking about audit evidence. Okay, audit evidence, as already mentioned earlier, last time you can see manual, you can see hard copy. Okay, you can see supporting documents simultaneously, but now everything is digital. All right, so again, the question of reliability of the digital document, because sometimes clients scan to you. Okay, like last time during the pandemic, you cannot go to the client scan everything and email to you, then you verify. Okay, all right. So, but nowadays you also have to be careful, right? Because all the documents sometimes can be beautified with the advanced technology. Everything can be mock up and so on. So that's why sometimes as an auditor, you always like thinking, is this the right document? Right? Is it the accurate document, etc. So on. Okay. Okay, another thing, when talking about audit evidence, okay, another skill that you might acquire is that, okay, last time this is what you always do. Okay, you do physical citing, okay, you check document, all right, you check everything all manually. Okay, but nowadays, with the analytics, with the advanced audit tool, what do you have here is, you have more visuals, you have more graphics. Okay, if you look at here, it's very much relate back to the knowledge of statistics. Okay, by looking at this, so your ability to interpret all this data. Okay, so what actually you look for from that data? What actually you want to detect from that data? Okay, all right. So that's why this one is the final already. But for you to think of what data to be included in the analysis is the more crucial. Okay, because if you put wrong data, you link wrong data, actually the output, whatever it means, it could be wrong information. Okay, so this is where the crucial part as an auditor, understanding of the database is very important, and understanding what are the risks that you want to look for is also very important. Okay, so that's where the competency are actually very, very crucial. Okay, because when you look at this, very nice, kan? Colorful, very different format and so on, look very nice, but then is it meaningful or not? That is what is more important. Okay, so the second point, so just now is all about audit process, right? So practically, audit process, what happened is that in the digital, process change, the way of how you extract information, the way of how you extract evidence are changed, the nature of the evidence has changed. Okay, but auditing standard has not addressed comprehensively on these issues, still revising. Okay, so you would expect more updated on the auditing standard with regard to all this impact of the technology, all right, on the audit procedures, evidence, etc. Okay, here, so as an auditor, all right, what is actually the most important thing for you now? Okay, so as an auditor, the most important thing is that you must know your auditing standard, because when you perform your audit procedures are actually in accordance to the auditing procedures, auditing standards. Okay, so you must know your auditing standards. So later on when you work, okay, you no longer study, right? You need to update yourself. Okay, what are the changes in the auditing standard? That's one. Secondly, you need to know about accounting standard. Okay, you need to know why you need to know about accounting standard, because when you check financial statement, you must ensure financial statement in accordance to the financial reporting standard. Okay, so that's why you need to know accounting standard. So these two standards are the core. Okay, and then on top of that, you need to be IT literacy. Okay, that means not only know how to use computer, not only know how to use Excel or Word whatsoever, but nowadays you also must be well versed. If you can get at least an exposure on the how the accounting software work, how the auditing software work. Okay, auditing software could be software for analysis, software for documentation. There are two different things. Right, software for analysis, like those analytics, and there are many in the market. Okay, there are many. Tableau, okay, Power BI, ACL, Highborn, okay, you have R, okay, there are so many. Python, there are so many nowadays. Which one is the one that you want to learn? Okay, all work sometimes for a different purpose. All right, even I myself also have to now relearn, learn and relearn, okay, all these skills, because we have to equip our students. All right, so you need to equip yourself, right? And in fact, I believe now generation are IT savvy. Okay, so it will be much easier. The moment you expose, you just need to get to know how it works and so on. Okay, so that is on the competence. Second skill, okay, you have to equip yourself with the questioning skill. All right, be brave, be confident, okay, and always ask the right question from the right time at the right person. But what question you want to ask? Okay, so being junior auditor, sometimes you're afraid, right, to ask. Okay, I remember that when I start work, okay, my senior told me, okay, don't tell the client that you are just few days starting working. Why? Because sometimes the way that you question people also, they can detect you are still new. Okay, so that's why you have to learn how to question. But after a while, it is a hands-on exposure. But after a while, after 2 months, 3 months, you know already how to ask questions from the client. Okay, so that's why it's good to be in audit. It build up your skill. Okay, interviewing skill and so on. And then judgment. Okay, later I will show to you why judgment is very important in the era of analytics. Okay, and of course, skepticism. Many times already I mentioned just now. Right, and of course, you have to exercise your objective view or independent. Okay, and last but not least, okay, being an accountant, the moment you complete your degree doesn't mean that you have to stop learning. Okay, the process of learning are still continuously happen. Right, like we always hear that. Okay, kita belajar sampai ke liang lahat.
Hello, Doctor. Hello. Vidya.
Yes, sir.
Any problem? Dr. Hafizah, Zainal.
Yes, I think with the signal, sir.
Can we wait for a while? We wait for a while because it's still having a bad signal, so we need to Wait for a while. Try to call her first, Vidya. If available, try to call her again.
All right, sir.
Okay, so for everyone's as audience, as students, so we wait for a while the discussion from Dr. Hafizah. But we have to note there's some information about the auditing, so especially for how to face that, the information about digitalization, okay? Because it is something new, right? Because during COVID-19, a lot of the organization and a lot of the company, they provide information with digitalization. So as auditor, we have to provide how to provide the technology, okay, to pursue that the information as auditor. So for example, like on your report, also we have to collect the evidence, and also the for example, like note or something else that we want to review the information from the company. So uh, so as a students, we have to prepare. So I think that Dr. Hafizah mentioned already in his presentation, in her presentation, that if we want to be an auditor, to make sure that we have the some skill, okay, some skill, and also the some technical. So the first, the technical, is talking about the IT. So I think, according to my point of view, we don't need to like study, but I'm not. We have to know first how to do that. So that's why we want to ask together. Okay, Dr. Hafizah, are you with us?
Okay, I
Doctor?
am ready, but unfortunately, I am using my handphone. I don't know why suddenly my computer blocked me from
It's okay, it's okay,
hijack.
doctor.
But
Okay.
actually, I already come to the final slide. And just to recap,
Okay.
I want to share my findings from my research actually. Okay, it is on the big data analytics on the impact of the auditor's decision, which is what I want to highlight the importance of judgment just now. Okay, so perhaps I will explain later. I will share the updated slides with the rest. Okay, what the finding is that, okay, when you do analytics, as I showed to you just now, audit evidence, all in the form of visual graphics, right? Okay, so and then at the same time, the auditors nowadays are still doing manual auditing. That means it's like they supplement, okay, they supplement the manual traditional evidence and also the analytics evidence. All right, so you have the way of we call it data visualization. Okay, so of course here the issue here, you have overload information. Okay, overload information. So as an auditor, that can be good, that can be bad. Okay, because when you have overload information, you have too much to think. All right, you have too much to consider, okay, to analyze and so on. Okay, so that's one issue. The other issue is that they call it data processing mode. Okay, some people, the one that always using intuitive processing mode, meaning that when they make decision, they make their decision based on their intuition. Okay, but then the other types of auditor is that they are the one that will make decision on deliberative mode, meaning they are another type of auditor whereby when they want to make decision, they always want to have more information to look for. They want to consider more information. Okay, so for that reason, okay,
Vidya.
okay, I'm here back. Okay, let me try to share. Oh, I cannot share. Participant has been disabled to share. Okay, I cannot share. All right, never mind. So what happened is that, so there are two types of auditor whereby when they make their decision is either based on intuition or they based on more information, because when you do analytics, you have more information to analyze. Okay, so maybe it will take more times, okay, for those auditor that will do deliberative. When they look for more information, that means they spend more time. But of course, in audit, when you spend more time, it costs more money, okay, because you need more longer period to do the audit. Okay, so these are some of the issues that we found, okay, during the studies. And then another thing is that with the big data, okay, with the big data, you are not only looking at the financial information alone, okay, not only looking at the database, okay, because sometimes you can actually refer to the, what is this that we call structured and unstructured data. Okay, structured and unstructured data, meaning that when you do your analysis, you have to, like we call it in research, triangulation, right? So that means you have to be able to analyze, okay, mix and blend the findings from your unstructured data, from the structured data, etc., etc. So the ability of the auditors to make judgment is much more within the current context of era of big digital environment, okay, because the availability of the big data, okay, the ability of the to audit the whole population, that's where the things come in, okay, the new things that come in while we are doing the audit, okay. And of course, as an auditor nowadays, you are actually good if you can apply statistical, okay. Why? All right, because what happened is that when I go and interview the auditors nowadays in the audit firm, when I further ask, okay, because I want to know those who are actually doing the analytics, what are the skills or what are the qualifications that they have. And surprisingly, okay, I met one from biomedic, become auditor, okay, one from aerospace, nautical, something like that, also doing analytics, and then the other one is actually from engineering, doing analytics. So what I'm saying is that not only accounting background that actually come and audit and doing the analytics, okay, why they are actually there is because the knowledge of statistical, okay, the knowledge of statistical, that means they learn during their degree to analyze and they good at statistics, and they actually able to join the team where, because sometimes a certain audit firm, they have a group of financial auditor, so to analyze, sometimes they outsource to the team of doing analytics team, they call it. Okay, so this person or this guy only doing analysis, so you give the information to them, they analyze for you and they give back the results to you. Okay, but of course, when you give to them, you have to know what actually information that you want, what you want them to do, and so on. So that's why I said just now, your understanding of the database, your understanding of the issues, what to look for, and so on, is actually goes back to financial auditor. Okay, which is you're the one that with the accounting background. Okay, so that is what our finding. Okay, another thing that I would like to share is that what I did in my for my undergraduates here. Okay, here I'm not sure on your side, do you have this kind of things? Because, okay, maybe some of you familiar with the ACL, okay, but now they rebrand into Hypon. So they do have education version whereby it's free actually, okay, for the student to use it. So what we do, we registered under this education version, and they have a license for like 200 students per year. So what we did every semester, we register the students into the system, the academy. And then in the academy, students, they have few modules, and students are able to learn how to use this ACL software. Okay, practically start from basic up until to the intermediate and advanced. All right, so they have two parts. So when the student, for one module, when they complete the module, they will get a certificate of completion. That means they have attended the module. Module will not last long. Okay, it depends, but it ranges from 30 to 40 minutes or maybe 1 hour. Okay, so once they complete watching the module online, they get one certificate. And then after that, they can sit for the exam. So once they pass the exam, they get another certificate of completion. Okay, so what is good about this is that I told my student to include that in your resume. Okay, to include that in your resume. So hence, it enhance your employability. Okay, because actually ACL for those, if you come from internal auditors, right? Internal auditors actually have been used ACL for many years already, isn't it? Okay, so it's actually quite a well-known software that actually available in the market. It's just that now they rebrand with the presence of analytics and so on, so on. Okay, so these are one of the things that you may want to consider to introduce to your students, which I think it give value added to the students. Okay, and in fact, I do also tested them in the exam. Okay, by having like one question on their understanding, because most of the time a student did about 3 modules in one semester. So I tested their understanding in the final exam by giving certain question on that. And okay, some will really do it, really understand the whole thing. They are able to do that particular question in the exam. Okay, so this is how actually when talking about, finally, in talking about education, right? How to equip our students to be ready to be able to audit in the era of the digital, right? Of course, we have to know how the business changed, okay, how it changed the audit process, audit work, competency, and so on. And for that reason, how we can equip the students in the education part, okay, in preparing them to go for the field work soon in future when they finish already graduating. Okay, so I think on my part, I believe that's all. Perhaps you have question. Okay, you may want to share, pose any question. That may be whatever that I can answer. I can attend to the question. I will address the question. Okay, thank you. I return back to Dr. Bahrul.
Okay, thank you very much for your explanation, Dr. Hafizah Zainal. It's very insightful discussion, especially regarding the audit. Okay, sorry for the noise because we have another meeting.
Sorry also for the interruption just now.
It's okay. Okay, so now the time for the Q&A for the students. Any student want to ask the question? I think the question can be started with two questions. Okay, so for the students, any question? Any question? Ada pertanyaan? Silakan. Bisa ditanyakan, boleh
ditanya
ditanyakan.
dalam bahasa, tak ada masalah.
Ya, boleh.
Bisa ditanya dalam bahasa, tak ada masalah.
Boleh guna bahasa Indonesia pun boleh cakap Melayu pun boleh. English pun boleh.
Mana-mana boleh.
So, any questions, everyone?
Boleh juga post di dalam chat kalau mau.
Yeah, kalau chat. Okay, I think I will start first from me, Dr. Hafizah. So
okay,
very interesting because I'm not really expert, and I don't have any experience before in audit. So it's my question, very strict the question for me. So if we want to be an auditor, so the question is, should we learn about the IT, or maybe like we have to because if you said to know just now you said in the slide also that the competency, we have the competency IT skill and also IT savvy and also technology. So we have to understand, because our client have a lot of technology, for example. So our client is using the technology to provide some information for the report, for example. So the question is to be an auditor, should we learn about the technology itself? It's with the no, I mean we have to study with ourselves, or we have to enter the university to join a degree again.
Tak perlu.
So how to do that? I mean, I mean, because sometimes as auditor, we have to learn what specifically. It's just is it just like no, but not all, or just like, okay, we learn something new, so we have to follow what the technology business have, for example. So how to do that?
Okay, in our syllabus, our accounting syllabus here in our university, we do have a subject of what do we call this? Management information system. Okay, so management information system actually adequate for students to at least understand how a particular system works. Okay, and then how the IT peripherals, all those things, connection, LAN, WAN, internet, all those things, because you have like EDI, okay, electronic data interchange, all those things works. As long as you know in general how the system work internally and externally, connection between client and third party and so on, that will be sufficient. And then understanding of database also important. At least you know when you set up database, what are the information required, like ID, and then what else you want to include for the purpose of audit, for the purpose of accounting reporting. Okay, that's one. And then the next one is the use of the software. Okay, so I think we are more from the user perspective. Okay, we are more from user perspective. It's not like from the technical, IT technical perspective. We don't have to know how the setting in the system work, all those things. That one pass to IT, or else IT will not have job. Okay, so we just need from user, at least we know how system work, okay, how database work, and then because we are using that for our analysis, then I think that will be sufficient. Because so far, based on myself, my experience, that's what with practically I understand. So, and then I can do my analysis. Help me to do the analysis in the audit software for analytics purpose. Because students already learn about the cycle, the automated control in the AIS, accounting information system, I think. So all that will be sufficient.
So it's sufficient. So we learn about the database only. This is so
Yes,
sufficient, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So at some time, because I have friend from actually he is Indonesian and also working in auditor, become auditor. And he said to me that at some time our client, their client, they have the technology. So auditor learn about what technology they use, and also if you want to know more deeply, they ask the password and username, how to enter that, because they want to look for the some evidence, and also looking for the big amount or maybe the small amount. They want to check one by one to make sure that the transaction is in line with an accounting, for example. So that's why sometimes I mean the as auditor have to really adaptive and also really know about the technology itself.
Yes,
okay.
True.
Okay, another question. Who's want to ask? Ya, sesiapa yang mau tanya? Silakan. Kawan-kawan, teman-teman. Sudah datang. Nih ada meeting di sini nih.
Adakah the what itu tadi saya tanya sama ada studentnya sudah buat practical tu tidak, sebab kadang-kadang takut knowledge-nya terlalu tinggi untuk difahami, sebab tak dapat lagi practical knowledge-nya kan. So harapnya everybody can understand lah, at least you can get something. That's why saya go holistic view rather than very specific.
Ya, silakan teman-teman mau tanya apa, jangan diam aja. Yuk. I think Dr. Hafizah is very interesting for her explanation. Very interesting. Saya yakin teman-teman tertarik ini harusnya. Apalagi teman-teman ini kan so close with technology, you know. The student is so, I think nowadays the student is very close with technology, so I think easy to understand about the technology. Silakan. Ayo, Gaza, Fadli. Ada yang lagi, silakan. Any question, silakan. Mau yang ditulis menggunakan, Anda juga bisa. Jojo, Ruth, are you there? Ruth? Jo mana Jo? Go. Jo, any question? Ruth?
No, I don't have any question.
Rini Muhirsa, mana nih? Rini Muhirsa mana Rini Muhirsa nih? Because this is a student international program, actually, I know the somehow I know the name and remember the person that Rini Muhirsa, Ruth, siapa lagi nih?
Jangan malu ya, mau belajar.
Ya, siapa lagi nih? Alfionita, Anissa Hendra, Balkis. Ayo, siapa yang mau nanya? Oh, I'm shy at this one. Okay, so the second question for me, that I think the discussion only me and that Hafizah this one.
Apa, it's okay. But I hope they still pick up from the discussion.
Okay, for the second question is, so is there any specific technology used for auditor, for the auditor? Is there any technology, for example, like sometimes for the manually, they just provide by document. Is there any technology that want to use to be, so for example, I am as an auditor, for example. So I'm using the technology to audit the company or to audit the organization. So is there any common technology they use, or they are using only Excel or maybe like database or something like that? Is there any specific technology you want to use? Because during pandemic COVID-19, and sometimes they want to to meet the people. They try to meeting with the Zoom or maybe the online, for example. So how to do this during pandemic COVID-19, especially during COVID like this?
Okay. Practically what happened is that in general, right, based on I interview also small medium audit firm. Okay, so small medium audit firm, very much they using common is Excel and Word. Very common Excel. Okay, when they do working paper, because last time we have 13 columns, 7 columns, but nowadays no more already have the paper that one. So all using Excel. Okay, so Excel, I would say it's a must lah in all audit firm as a working paper purpose. But then when you're talking about analysis, all right, so we have many software. Okay, so if you're looking at external auditors, practically external auditors, if you go to Big Four, they have customized software. Okay, but if you go the one that on the shelf, then you have Power BI, you have ACL Highborn just now, all right, and then you have R, you have Python, you have many more. Okay, so actually many more come in after all the words, analytics and so on. Okay, but of course, ACL is actually very much being used already by the internal auditor years ago. Okay, even when I think in late 90s already, ACL is there already. So ACL is quite known for internal auditors, but now it has been embarked to the external auditors as well as part of the analytics. Okay, and then that's a software on the analysis. But another thing is when talking about auditor, you have software for documentation. Okay, audit documentation, meaning for audit working paper, right? So that one is a separate software. So if you go to Big Four, normally customized because they have their own preference and so on. So they customize. But then if you go to the local companies, all right, of course, we have few like ASP, okay, and then we have what else, one more? Idea. Okay, these are the software that provide for documentation of the audit, which is just now I'm talking about audit planning, you performing audit procedures, you want to document all your audit working paper, that one is using another software. So actually as an auditor, you have many different software to work with. So that's why you have to be able to be flexible. Okay, when you use this software, this is how it works. This is how you do it, analyze. But of course, after a while, if you're using it daily, it will be hands-on lah. Shouldn't be any problem.
Okay, so
that's why we equate just now our student with ACL, because that is the common for internal and external auditor.
So is ACL is like we can customize the system, right? ACL is when we can customize.
For the student, it's already ready. It's already ready. But so that's why the education version. Okay, if let's say your unit are interested, I can link, because what I understand is that the ACL is actually in Canada, but they have their service provider here in Singapore and in Malaysia, which they serve Malaysia, Indonesia, Asia region.
Asia
Okay,
region.
so
Okay.
so let's say your university are interested, I can link to the respective person in charge, so they can arrange for you to get education version, and they actually do the training for the lecturers, and then because we also need to learn how to use it. Okay, we also, that's why I said relearn, because we have been using it years ago, but now of course the system changed and so on. So we relearn, and then we teach the students. But then now they have academy inside where students can go and learn on their own.
So what you said just now about the documentation system, I mean, the documentation we have to save our the documentation. So the question is there any system that to detect the original document or maybe the fake document? So is it possible to check by auditor with the system? Is it possible?
Okay, that one I have not yet come. Unless I'm not sure, because during my time when I did the audit, it's not available yet. Okay, but nowadays I'm not sure whether they have it or not. During the, just now I said the risk assessment, right? When they check the system and so on, perhaps because that I think is more on the IT side lah. Okay, for you to know the originality, whether it's a mock-up one or whether fake one, whatsoever, isn't it? Because nowadays, sometimes it looks, for us, looks okay, looks real,
okay,
but actually it's not real, right? So those are the things lah.
Yeah. Yes, very interesting. And sometimes I'm confused. I don't know. So that's why because I don't have any experience before to be an auditor. So that's why sometimes more the questions in my mind. Oh, how to
it's
do,
okay.
to do
it's
that
okay.
about the as an auditor, because the technology is at the same time we have to face the technology in each company or each organization. They have the different technology, so have to learn again.
Yes.
So sometimes
yes.
Okay, because our client is not, they are not using one system but different system.
Yes.
From the company
Yes.
A, company B, company C, so it's different. So that's why. So I think there is one question that's from the Rutskunda. What are key information technology risk face?
Okay, what the key risks in IT? Security.
Yeah.
Security, because
Security.
if you ask a small medium firm why they don't want to embark on the technology, why they don't want to adopt technology, their first question is that security. We are afraid that means they do not trust, even to the extent of cloud-based server. Okay, they are using Excel, they are using Word, and in fact you are sharing among your audit team members within the office, right? Okay, so of course to facilitate, you can use cloud-based server. Okay, but to that extent also, the boss said no, don't use cloud. They're afraid that the information will be leaked out and so on. So the main things that people are afraid to go for technology is security. But of course, nowadays, there are ways of how for you to protect, okay, your data, your information. In fact, when we work from home, right, you bring back laptop to your home, okay, and in fact, you do audit at your home, and where actually anybody can access to your computer, isn't it? Anybody can actually see the client's information and so on. Again, security. Okay, so actually there are ways of how you can do that. Okay, and of course, if you actually talk to the auditors, the password, all those things, there must be ways lah, right? How to handle the issue of securities. But it's just that, of course, when talking about technology, you have to invest. Okay, to have a good security, to have a good system in place, you have to invest. So again, of course, that's why I said, like, before they have money, they have resources, they can even customize. Okay, but then for the medium, if the what I noticed is that is the partner really keen in the technology, they will go very advanced. If the partner like afraid of security, then they will like slowly adopting, because nowadays everything has to adopt.
So the protections not only for document but also for our laptop.
Yes.
because
Yes.
because sometimes we have to save our document, not only the document itself but also our laptop, because we bring our laptop over there.
Yeah, and then you use Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi. Imagine you do at your
Okay.
client, and then you use
Yes,
the
yes.
public Wi-Fi. So all these things have to take into consideration. As an auditor, okay, if I'm doing like this, is it risk? Is it risk? Is it not? Something like
So we have to be careful about this, because sometimes, so I think the cloud computing is very useful also for the auditor, right? We can save
Yes.
over the document in cloud computing, and also we save on in the storage, because like OneDrive, like Google Drive.
Yes.
And
Share.
Easy to share. Okay. Okay. Rutskunda. So is it clear or not, Dr. Rutskunda, the explanation for Dr. Hafizah? Is it clear?
Thank you for the question, Ruth.
Ruth, is there any question want to ask again?
No, it's clear, sir.
Okay, clear. Okay. Any question again?
Any other questions, student? You can ask in Bahasa, no problem.
Ayo, jangan malu-malu lah. Don't be shy. Dr. Hafizah
Is it too hard to understand, or you all can understand?
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes you have not been in the practice, you have not been in the practical. Sometimes it's quite difficult also to imagine. Sebab tu saya bawa macam cerita pergi makan mama. So then they can see, okay, macam you buy shopping online. What is the digital process happen?
But now in Malaysia is COVID-19 is decreased, decreased already.
Yeah. Tidak di-declare, tapi mostly dah back to like normal. But we are still wearing our mask when you are in the public.
Okay, so the regulation, so the regulation of the company, like in Malaysia, for example, so this is like should be work from home, or still like hybrid, sometimes from home, sometimes
already most of the company already lifted their options to work from home. But still, there are companies give option like alternate, team A, team B. Team A come to work, team B at home, and then something like that. But some, like in our case, next semester, starting October, all will be face-to-face.
Oh, offline already, face-to-face. So started. Also, when why we started in September, inshallah, face-to-face already, offline already. So we try.
Yeah, I think everything back normal, inshallah. Yes. Inshallah, everything will be back to normal.
Inshallah. Okay, the last one. Ada lagi pertanyaan ya teman-teman? Silakan. Ya, ini mumpung ada Dr. Hafizah nih yang punya a lot of experience. Kalian harus belajar banyak nih sama Dr. Hafizah.
Oh, tidak juga. Saya pun masih belajar.
No lah. I saw your publication, a lot of rather than me.
Adalah sikit je.
Yeah, no lah. Yes, became lecturer since how long, Doctor, in IIUM?
Sorry?
You are become lecturer in IIUM since 2000. Since it's a long time ago, right? Still already 20 years already. How long?
I work as an auditor about 20 years. 21 years, 20 years.
20 years. Oh, okay. So
close to 20-21 years now.
Practitioners.
So all this while I'll be allocating to teach audit because of my experience in
that's why also your PhD,
as an auditor.
Yeah, also your PhD is concerned in audit, right?
Yeah, in internal audit, because I work as an external auditor, so I acquire PhD in internal audit so that I could cover both auditing, because like IT, all this analytics, all these things actually very much advanced in IT, internal audit. Sorry.
Okay. Kayaknya tidak ada pertanyaan. Cukup jelas, teman-teman, cukup jelas semuanya diskusinya kali ini.
Harapnya semua paham ya.
Inshallah. I'm really understand. I'm really understand, inshallah. As moderator, I really understand. Okay,
inshallah, nanti dosennya boleh fahamkan lagi anak muridnya.
Oh my God. Okay, Dr. Hafizah Zainal, thank you for the explanation. Also, thank you for all the insight during the discussion. So very helpful and really interesting discussion talking about the auditing, especially if you look at from the issue. So the issue is not only because of COVID-19, but because of the how to design the audit within the area digitalization in business environment at some time. Because yes, we there is no doubt that if during COVID-19, a lot of the company, a lot of the organization, they try to provide the technology to make easy and to give information to the customers, to the audience, and also to the third parties, or maybe to the to the investor. So I'm really in discussion. I'm really interesting in your presentation. So hopefully your discussion, your insightful is really helpful for us, not only for me as moderator, but also for my students to understand about the audit itself. Okay, I think now we can close Dr. Hafizah. So I am as moderator. Thank you for coming, Doctor. And inshallah, we can meet another section, another program, inshallah, in another discussion, especially in audit, inshallah.
Boleh.
Or maybe talking about the artificial intelligence and audit. This is very interesting, Doctor.
Itu kena cari audience yang boleh memahaminya ya.
Artificial intelligence and audit is also very complicated discussion.
Sebab bila bercerita dengan studentnya banyak yang macam termenung aja.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. So for me, if you find any mistake for me and my experience, I'm sorry. So apologize to all of it, everyone. So for me, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So now go back
would like to thank
okay.
Thank you semua ya for the invitation semua.
Okay. So now go back to the sister. Siapa tadi namanya tadi lupa sampean?
Vidya, sir.
Okay, Vidya. So go back to you again as start ceremony.
Thanks to Professor Nur Hafizah for the attractive material. Hopefully it can help the audience to have a better understanding of audit quality in the world of digital. And thanks to Mr. Bahrul as a moderator who guided these events today more clearly. Now we are turning in the last agenda, which is closings. As the master of ceremony, I do apologize for any mistakes during this event. Finally, I say thank you. Before leaving this event, can we please everyone turning on your camera because we want to take a picture. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Once again, 1, 2, 3. Thank you for joining this event and see you on the next event. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima
Thank
kasih
you,
semua.
Dr. Hafizah, Dr. Hafizah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jumpa
Thank
lagi.
you. Inshallah, Doctor. Okay.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.